We good? Okay, well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to welcome you all to the February 17th City Council meeting. This is the 4 p.m. work session. And just by way of announcement, the agenda today is amended. The item we were going to discuss in council business, that initiative has been asked to be postponed by the sponsors. So we won't talk about that today. It will be postponed to, I believe, the 3rd of March, right? Okay, so we do have our regular city council meeting that we review the agenda. There's not a ton of stuff on there. Got a recognition for Janine Eller-Smith. Lots of fanfare and hoopla, and she served the city for a long time. So we're going to award her the Compass Award, and the administration is going to award her the key to the city. I don't know what it unlocks, but that's a pretty cool thing. So, and those of us who knew her can pass on our best wishes to her. We've got minutes from Councilmember Myers and Ritchie and Lundell. Everybody ready for those? Okay. And then we have the 1425 Kingston Drive rezone. Any questions about that? Do you remember that one's just okay. It's just going to an R18 there. So we will have public comment after that, and then mayor and council member comments, and then we'll consider going into a closed session. Any questions about the council agenda?
Chair?
Yes.
On number 5, that report from the Planning Commission at 1425
Yep.
Kingston.
Uh-huh.
Is there public comment after that?
We have elected to receive input from the public about that item.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
And you must think there's going to be some, huh?
No, I just.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit in leadership and really didn't see like there was much controversial issues around that. And thought maybe it was just kind of gonna fly by, but.
Well, I received one email response about it.
Okay. All right.
That was it. Maybe everybody got that. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the email question was just limiting the number, but I'm curious because I pulled up the map to see how you would do that, and maybe they can address that. It just because 2 of the homes are on separate roads and stuff.
Right. Right. Do you want Steve to talk about that at all, or he's ready? He is always prepared. He was a Boy Scout.
I mean, yeah, sure. If we can,
sure. Okay.
I mean, we can talk about it here and or there.
We have time, so let's go ahead and give Steve a minute. And you can come up to the big seat over here, Steve.
So just to clarify, I did see that there was a public comment, just wondering about the number of lots. Typically with a rezone, the council is looking at changing the zoning from one to another, not necessarily the number of lots, unless you want to get into looking at some kind of a conditional overlay with a development agreement that specifically says how many lots there can be. But just to maybe clarify, Councilmember Ritchie, was your question about the possible number of lots that could be there with the proposed zoning?
Yeah, I think partly that. I'm trying to pull up the email, but it seemed like they were suggesting that 10 that we were looking that would be put into that location.
Yeah, that's what their concept.
They were suggesting that maybe 8 might be more appropriate for the neighborhood. And when I pulled up the presentation and just looking at how those, I don't know how you would cut 2 out of there potentially.
Yeah.
But again, I just that was, I think, the same email.
Yes.
That you received, right, Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
So it's possible to, you just make the lots bigger.
Yeah, you just.
So you get rid of 2 lots and make a couple of them bigger. So it's definitely a possibility. The owner might have to get with their engineering firm to show how that all works with zoning and setbacks and things like that. But there would definitely be a way to make 8 lots work as opposed to 10.
So help me with my thought on this too. Two questions actually. One is, how are the other, how's the neighborhood currently zoned? Is it R8 or is it R10?
R10.
The majority of the neighborhood is R10?
So, yeah, let me see if I have a good, I put
My
a,
recollection
an
is along
image.
36th Street, it's all R10.
Yeah,
And then coming back off Kingston, it's
Yeah.
R8.
Okay,
then-
so, and they wanted consistent zoning on the entire development. and
Well,
that-
they don't want to change the zoning on that north side, on Kingston side. They don't
So
want
they
us
want
to
that to be
change
10?
that's what I understood from the email, yeah.
Okay,
so, yeah, currently the property that is on Kingston, the old church property.
yeah,
There is a portion of it that is zoned R110 that the owner would like zoned R18 to
Right.
fit more lots on there.
Yep.
So the majority of the neighborhood, I would say pretty much east and west and north is R110. The reason it could work is because it's adjacent to some R18 property that was previously that church property. And so it could make sense to do R18 there as well, just because it's right next to it.
Yeah.
It runs adjacent to it.
and if they can develop more lots or to build more homes along, doesn't it make for a lesser expensive home because you've got more homes being served by the same cost of infrastructure, both infrastructure under the ground and infrastructure above the ground, both building it, installing it, and then maintaining it in the long term. You know, if you can divide all of that expense up by 10 homes rather than just 8, that house is going to be more affordable, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And that's the argument for density. And R18 isn't all that dense, really, is it?
No, it's not. Well, 8,000 square foot
Square
per
foot
lot.
lot, yeah.
Well, and in this case, 9, where a lot of these are corner lots, they get 9,000 square feet.
Okay,
Well, and then I would also point out on the northern end of that, 3 of the lots are 11,000 square feet lot.
Yeah,
And
that's what they
so-
were saying at the original
Yeah.
presentation, that they're just barely not meeting the R110,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I mean, we could take their total acreage and divide it by 10,000 versus 8,000 square feet to see how many units, but they're pretty close to the 10 anyway in the R110 zone.
Okay. That answer your questions?
yeah, I mean, I think,
well, and the only other thing I'll point out too is it's not the smallest lot size that it could be for single-family residential that might come to us for a request too. Steve, help me with that. What are the smaller lot zones other than R2S? Well, that's not single family though. That could be a duplex.
Yeah, so let me just see if I can get those pulled up really quick here. The single
I think our
family residential
single-family are on
zones,
5 is the,
R15,
this
R16,
one?
so 5,000 and 6,000
Okay.
square feet as well.
Okay.
so just the email, they did talk about how Polk Street has kind of become a little bit of a thoroughfare. And so I almost wonder if there's maybe just some attention on that area too from, if there's a lot of speeding. I think that's what they mean by backway thoroughfares. Maybe there's some high speeders along that area. So that might be something we could coordinate with our enforcement of speed limits.
well, if Marcia were here, she'd be calling for speed bumps.
Yeah.
Well, they also have a very significant, kind of a gutter, not if it's a gutter or drain through the
Yeah.
middle of Polk Avenue right there. So you have to slow down to go through that drain area right there. So
Yeah.
you can't get significant speed along Polk Avenue anymore.
Yeah. Well, this is just for the rezone, right? So then I don't know that we'll ever see it again when they subdivide it.
Correct. And once it's rezoned, it would subdivision approvals would go through the planning department and planning commission.
So if the council were not happy with, with the size of lots, this would be the time to make that change, right?
Yes.
I personally think that R18 to the south and, it's between an R18 and an R110. I'm okay. I don't see a real big reason to push back.
And I support the petitioner.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll hear that a little later today, so. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it, Steve. Next item on our agenda is the Nature Center Annual Report. We have Laura Western, the Executive Director for the Nature Center here. Welcome.
you. Gotten through. Thank you so much for allowing me to come again and share a little bit about the Nature Center. It's always a little bit terrifying, but fun, just the same, to see everyone. So, as many of you know, our mission is really to connect people with nature and then really create a community that is dedicated to environmental stewardship. And a few years ago, we added the component around environmental stewardship because we really want to teach the next generation and the generation after to take care of this beautiful land that we have, kind of the gem of Ogden that is in our midst. Let's see if it'll go. It doesn't love me. So today I was allotted 10 minutes. I'll be honest, for those of you who know me, I can't say hello in 10 minutes. So I am going to do my best to be concise. I wanted to share just a few of our partners that we work with in the community. One of the things that we have focused on in the past year is really reaching out to community members that we maybe haven't had relationships with in the past. And one of those has been the Northwestern Band of the Shoshone. And so we have worked side by side with them, and they've come to the Nature Center. We've helped with the Bear River project that they are doing just a bit up north and have worked side by side. We work with the chamber. We work with many other community members that are here in our own community. I wanted to talk just briefly about our conservation efforts. These are the grants that we held just around conservation last year. And as you know, the community members that really started the Ogden Nature Center really loved that land and wanted to take care of that land. And the conservation work that we have done on the land this year include a variety of things, including 15 acres of Russian olives that have been cut back. And that allows us to take those bad plants and trees, if you will, and really return this land back to the nature that it was. And much of that cutting piece really came from UCC, who came in and brought a crew and they cut. Our friends at Chromalox helped us with a cutting project. They are also helping us with the restoration project that will take place in the spring. We also did some projects around what is on our property and how do we care for those animals as well. So interestingly enough, I get a phone call all the time that kind of starts like this. Hello, can you tell me if this is the Nature Center? Yes, it is. Your deer got out. And it's like, they're not our deer, but thank you for calling us. We have 91 deer that have been tracked to the property now. So always interesting phone calls at the Nature Center. We are always going to be a work in progress. You know, between the land and the people and the kids and the families and folks that come there is always great work to be done. So we've prioritized many of the things that we have done, including that we do know that the mews where the birds are housed needs to be replaced. And so that is a top priority for us as we go into the next several years. One of the things we focused on this year was the discovery room. Just a small room off the gift shop that we've used for education that just needed some love throughout the years. And so that room has been redone with a focus on the watershed area of the Great Salt Lake. And how does the water flow through the Nature Center and meet at the Great Salt Lake? And so it's a great opportunity for us to teach children and families about what they can do. And we have provided now some of our signage in the discovery room that is in both Spanish and English, which is a bit of a new thing for us to have moved forward. We have a water table that the kids can mock what happens in a water flow that is done with little teeny pom-pom balls, so they can see what water flows like as it goes down the river and how plants affect that. There's a great art area for the kids to do things in, and we have a small library where kids can sit and read and relax, and it's just a great place for families to hang out and for us to have fun with them too. As I mentioned, we really wanted to really focus on some of our diverse communities this year. And so our Earth Day festival that we hold, we actually invited several of these organizations to come on out and dance and share with us how their cultures celebrate the earth. And it really was a very well attended event. It was our 50th anniversary. I still play like it is. I tell everybody it's our 50th year, and then Christina Myers will say, that was last year, and I'm like, it's still happening. So it was a lot of fun. It was a wonderful time and something that we are continuing to grow each and every year. So one of the greatest things about the Ogden Nature Center is our naturalist educators. They do a phenomenal job teaching. And we do get funding across our state to help us go in and teach children in first grade in our soft science program all about nature and the birds and the animals. And so we have staff members that travel all across the state to share messaging and teachings with these children. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the field trips. Always kids coming out and having field trips and lots of community events. And they range from everything from basket weaving to chocolate tasting to senior walks to bird watching. And so we've tried to really adjust and provide a little something for everyone to go and relax at the Nature Center and learn something. And again, it's a bit of my challenge to really build infrastructure. So we're 50 years old, and with that challenge comes a lot of the challenges of an organization that has been around. This has been a year that our challenges were primarily financial challenges. So they were things like the gates broke, the boilers broke, we need this painted, those kinds of things. And then as technology has developed, we actually have developed technology within the organization and continue to do so. So as the organization has grown from a small organization up to a bit larger organization, we have needed to take our 5 or 6 systems and have them integrate and speak to each other. And really, it's about efficiency. And so we've been very, very mindful of that. So payroll is also more expensive for us. People have had more charges in their lives, and that trickles down to employees too. And so we've been highly mindful of retaining our great employees. This was the year that we lost some animals at the nature center, including Sundance, who was an eagle, and Kronk, who everyone knows here in this community. And Kronk, our loving bird, passed away. But those animals need vets. And that too created some additional costs for us and will continue to do so as animals age and we take care of them. And so those were a bit of our challenges this year, but we know we can overcome. And then we have a great board of directors. So Dave Graff has served in the past. Alicia's serving now. Justin's back there. He also serves with us and does a great job. They do. And really, we have 20 people on our board of directors. And I can honestly say the room is filled. When we have board meeting and committee meetings, they are there and they are hard at work. And they take on new issues each and every year. And so I appreciate all that they have done to move us forward as an organization. It's been amazing. So today I'll ask you one question, and that is, and I'd love feedback, are we meeting the needs of this community? Is there something else you would like to see at the Nature Center? You guys are an easy crowd. Anyway.
I would say I've always admired the education outreach and the opportunities that way. And so I know a few years ago there was some discussion about maybe trying to expand that and possibly be enlisted on a state education. I don't know what the right word is, but there was opportunities to bring students in from across the state to the Nature Center.
I think that what we have found is a little bit of the busing challenge as we get out of this area. We do have an occasional school system that will bring kids from the border, either border, crossing the line and coming to the Nature Center because we're still close enough. But with the ICEE grant, it really has helped us go to them. Of course, we always want people to come to the Nature Center because it is magical. But one of the projects that the Chamber did this year is they had a forum of individuals that came in and they came up with several suggestions as to how we could get more people to learn about the Nature Center. And one of the things that they did come up with is, could you guys write a grant that would be big enough that you could take a bus and have it be like the nature van that went out to some of these more remote areas? And it is something that we're exploring and looking at. That our educators are great and they really align with the state curriculum too. And so if your kids are coming to the Nature Center or families are coming, they're getting the highest education, which is great. That's great. Thank you, Kate. Others? Anyone? Okay. So I wanted to share some of our top priorities as we look at the Nature Center. One, really making sure that there's stability in our budget planning. Focusing on major donor development here in the area and reducing a reliance just to focus on our great events, which generate a fair amount of revenue and focus more broadly on people and foundations that can come out and help us. And then our water and restoration projects are pretty amazing to look at and see what is growing, what is developing, and it is a lot of work for Anna Zach, our conservation director. And then we're also taking a higher interest in our north property. So one of the things that we have learned as time has gone on is we need more components of public education. If you're walking your dog in this area, this is how to care for them on the land. Please take your little bags out, those kinds of things. And really teaching people at every opportunity that we can come up with. Here's an opportunity to recycle and use those small places that we have a presence and really share with people. And then I talked about implementing a systems upgrade. And it is a little bit challenging to my non-techie mind when I think about 6 systems and trying to get them to intersect and create really a stronger method of managing information. And so that's what we're doing on our end. And that creates higher efficiency for the organization. So in a 10-minute nutshell, that is what I wanted to share today. I always appreciate the opportunity to talk about the Ogden Nature Center. I love it. I hope you guys love it too. It's really a very special place. So thank you.
Question?
Do you want to sit around for some questions or anything?
Oh,
or-
sure. I'll take a question or two. I just talk nonstop, and so I figured it was
Well, I have a question. You
sure.
mentioned the Nature Center North.
Yes.
You just kind of briefly touched on that. What are you thinking of? What's that programming look like long term?
So I think for us, we did receive that several years ago from the city, and that is a trailhead where people go and hike and spend time in the foothills,
Mhm.
if you will. And so our plan really isn't to develop it, but we might have some level of programming up there at some point. Right now, we're very focused on the 152 acres right in our backyard in managing that and making sure it's safe and open to people that want to be there.
Another question. Well,
Sure.
that's in my neighborhood, and so it's much more than just a trailhead because
Yes,
it's
it
really
is.
pretty big. But and I think there's some potential for more. And I'm not the visionary, so I'm not trying to tell you what I think you got to do there. But I do think there's opportunity there.
I think there is too.
And I also think there's some opportunity. There's some land right across the mountain road from that currently is part of an HOA that I think they would love to donate it to you.
Oh,
So,
I love that.
I don't know all the things that might have to happen to have that happen, but you'd have to be willing to take it, I think, for one. But anyway, another question I had is some of the programming at the one on 12th Street. Do you have beehives on the property?
That's a great question. So we had beehives for a number of years. And I actually asked that question because we had a little sign that said beehive crossing and the beehive wasn't there.
Mm.
So apparently in the weather here, they don't always survive as well. So Anna Zach, who is our conservation director, actually brought in some beehives and we're going to try again to keep them alive and well. Our friends over at Chromalox actually do a little beehive work too. And so we're learning from them too, which is fun.
Well, beehives are, I think as soon as the bees are dead, I think we're 3 years behind is what they say.
Don't
So,
say
no,
that.
I think that's a fact. So that's why I thought it would be a really good thing to constantly have
Right.
there. But you're right, they don't survive our winters often.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, I just was curious. So
No.
thank you.
Other questions?
Any other questions for Laura?
I don't have any question, but just comments and just thank you for your work there
Thank
at the Nature Center. My two kids were one of those 7,000 that got field trips this year, and I was actually one of the adults that got to chaperone along the way. We dug up some Dyer's Woad and worked on that. And I also have fond memories as a child back when they used to do overnighters at the Nature Center, and so it's fond memories for me. And I'm glad my children are getting to participate in that and learn from the experts that are there. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it so much.
I have a couple comments.
Yeah, please, Sean.
First one was, when I was a kid, that was still Defense Depot Ogden, Kevin. So there's a little bit of a generation gap, that property there before they donated it to the city. But I've always appreciated the fact that I got this four-wheel drive vehicle a couple of years ago. And my wife teases me, the only time I go off on a dirt road is when I go out to the Ogden Nature Center, which is not much of four-wheeling opportunity out there, but we sure enjoy it. Our family does, and our kids, our grandkids just absolutely love going out there, especially with Christina. But I also have a question about the north property. Do you know approximately how many acres that property is?
It's a couple acres.
Just a couple?
Mhm.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was a bit more than that. I don't know.
Hopefully, I'll take that back, Sean. It's 20.
Is it 20?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that map didn't go right in my head.
Some of it abuts up to Forest Service property, so I've never known where the dividing line is, and there's a couple trails that go through that. And I didn't know if you had up to the canal road or the canal, whether the Pine View Canal runs through there or not. But anyway, it's just that area is as our chair Rich Heyer mentions, that is just a really choice spot right there. That's a nice takeoff spot for a
Yeah,
trailhead
it
to
is.
go up into the mountains.
It is.
So
It's beautiful. Alright.
thank you. Well
Okay.
done.
Thanks, Laura. Appreciate you for all you do down at the Nature Center. Okay, next item on our agenda is the fiscal year 2025 annual grants report. And we have Coralie Jensen and you guys always kind of do a little something, so I want to make sure Justin wasn't going to jump up and do. Okay. Okay. Welcome, Coralie.
Okay, so I'm here to present the fiscal year 25 annual grant report. So this report includes not only grants that we receive from the federal government, but also state, local, and private grants as well. So in fiscal year 25, the city had 88 grants and expended $36.7 million in grant dollars. A large portion of that were expended through the state of Utah, 10 million of it, and then the U.S. Department of Treasury, that's the ARPA funds, was 18.4 million. And then I wanted to just share a history of our grant awards with you as well. A few years back, we City Council approved the position of a grant writer in our police and fire department. And then a year or two ago, we, City Council approved another position that assists in writing grants for public services, community and economic development, and management services as well. And so you can see the fruits of those labors. Considering 10 years ago, we had 49 grants and we're now up to 88. And the amount of expenditures in each of those years has increased as well. So I believe the grant report is attached to your packet as well that has the detail of all of these grants. Are there any questions on it?
Any questions for Corley?
I told you I'd be quick,
That
not
was
like
pretty
last
fast.
time.
Okay,
Yeah, no questions, just that's awesome. I love to see that, the fruit of that,
yeah,
those grant writers
Yep,
and,
me
and
too.
seeing those funds flow to the city, so.
Okay.
Okay,
Great,
thank you.
thank you.
Okay, is there any council business?
Sure, I got a couple of things I
Okay.
could talk about. If
All
you,
right, Glenn.
you want to mention the joint resolution again, just in case
Yeah, the
anybody
joint
tunes in
resolution
later.
that was on our agenda, the sponsor of the initiative asked that it be postponed to the 3rd of March. So that's when we have rescheduled it on the agenda. So.
Chair, may I speak into that?
Sure.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the consideration of it, of the resolution discussion being tabled to March 3rd. And I just wanted to state that the reason for that was because legislation was introduced on the Hill yesterday at around 12:30 that we just wanted to make sure, myself and co-sponsor Lundell, Councilmember Lundell, to track that bill before presenting the resolution to City Council.
And I think that any bill will be, the session's over before before the 3rd, isn't it?
March 6th, sorry.
March 6th?
No, go ahead. Yeah, March 6th.
Okay, so it might not be. So, okay, good. All right.
I just, some comments on that. I know, we employ lobbyists, at the Capitol, and I think this may speak into some of that. I think you know, we've talked about this the last couple of weeks, and we don't really, I don't think as a body, at least myself, don't really have a good, clear picture of what our city is lobbying for. And I think it would be a good opportunity maybe for us to think about that and how we can get maybe a report on what's happening there. I think, you know, bills don't pop up out of nowhere. I think maybe there was some opportunity where we could have been even been made aware ahead of time of this. Another bill that happened this last week, Councilmember Graff can probably speak into this more, was I know the Utah Community Renewables. There was a bill going through there that threatened the life of that whole entire project. And as far as I know, Ogden City wasn't involved in the lobbying for that either. And so I think just some more clarification about what we are lobbying for and how that is happening, and so that we can just be made aware of how that's affecting the city. This particular bill, I think, is, regardless of how you feel about the resolution as you've read through it, there's lots of implications. But one of them is it takes local control away from our city, and I think we should be protective of that where we can, and our ability to govern as our community sees fit and as we see fit as their elected officials. And so I think it's one that we should be flagging.
Anybody else want to speak to that? I think I understood, and I could be wrong, that the league has grabbed hold. Well, they do have a position on this HB 571. Is that so?
It's
So
on,
they will.
it's on their tracker. I haven't seen a position on that.
They,
one yet.
so they haven't made a
Yeah.
made a stance. Okay. And this other one that you were talking about, I think that was 531, wasn't it?
On the renewable communities, that was resolved.
Oh,
There was a good public uprising that
okay. So it's
was met with
just
changes, yeah.
it's just gone now.
Moving forward, yep.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
And then, Chair, just an additional
Yeah.
update. Myself and Councilmember Lundell, we held a community conversation regarding the proposed joint resolution just on Sunday. It was at the main branch library in their large auditorium in the basement. And it was a really generative conversation with a large group of people that came out of our constituents to speak into the resolution. We did present the resolution to the community members through a slideshow, and you may receive feedback from some community members. So I just wanted to let you know that we did hold that community conversation. And also, really, I want to uphold everyone's work and diligence and curiosity and investigation into this joint resolution. It's appreciated. And then also the constituents who have shared personal stories and lived experiences that have allowed deeper conversations. So I just want to say thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Glenn?
Not on that one, but I've got a couple of other things when
Okay.
you're ready to get to those.
Sure.
Just a couple of reminders. So first, the Zone Ogden open house is Wednesday, February 25th at 5:30 at Union Station. So next Wednesday, if you want to put that on your calendar, if you haven't already. And any RSVPs for the Police Awards Banquet, if you have not done so yet, please do so the next couple of days so they can get a good head count. And then Mavis sent out a joint leadership schedule for all of you, a rotation. If you have not responded to her and have any issues with any of those dates, please let her know so we can get that adjusted.
There's already a couple of you that have kind of done a little trading on those dates. And that's kind of the way it works. So if you,
Are you aware of that, Glenn? That,
Yeah, are you
Yeah.
two okay with that switch?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll get that finalized
from
for you.
June. and
June and
July.
June and July, yeah.
Yep.
So if you can do those, but please let Mavis know if you do make the change.
I think she already did the
She did,
changes.
yeah, she
Yeah.
did. Because you let her know. So, okay. All right, any council comments?
Well, we've got a minute, if I may, just a couple of local things. So I had a constituent inquire as to whether or not the city is being compensated by the fiber optic companies that are placing infrastructure in our right of way. They'd be interested to hear back on that. It's causing some disruption in our neighborhoods, and it's not come without comments. Mayor, do you have any understanding of whether or not we're being compensated for infrastructure in our right of ways? Thank you for getting back to us on that. And then also I wrote to administration and quite a while ago about the speed limit going up 26th Street, specifically around the Rancho Market area. The sign posted right on that corner is 35 miles an hour, and there are cars parked on the street on both sides during the entirety of the store hours. There are people walking across the street, going home last Tuesday night. The car in front of me hit a dog, and it really raised a ruckus in the neighborhood. And I think it could be related to lighting, honestly, up there, in addition to speed. And I have inquired amongst the administration. And in addition to that, we've got bike lanes striped on both sides of 26. So I wonder if that's a speed limit that we might take a look at through that neighborhood area, especially with some intensive shopping that takes place at Rancho Market.
Councilmember Graff, I'd like to include looking at 24th Street, especially right by the library. And then a little further east of that, where we have that businesses where there's a laundromat and there's a lot of foot traffic as well. And I know people are coming right up over that hill, but that's a tricky area as well that speed limits could be looked at as well and evaluated. So thank you for bringing that up on 24th
I see
Street.
Mara making notes in a hasty fashion over there. And I'll say this about those kind of things is there are rules that apply to those kind of things. It's not arbitrary at all. So we have a traffic engineer that will look at those things, and I think that's what she's probably gonna do is employ the traffic engineer to double check on that stuff. And maybe we can get a little report on that later, so. And I did ask some of those questions that you asked about fiber. Fiber, for some reason or other, we don't charge a franchise tax for the utility. And when they were putting it in my neighborhood, I had a ditch witch sitting right in my front lawn, and I kind of got concerned because it was well inside the sidewalk, and I tried to find out if that was okay, and I was referred to my plat, which does show a easement 10 feet into the property line all the way around, and most of them do. So there is an easement for that kind of infrastructure. Now, what they have to pay the city to do it, I don't know the answer to that, but I have been told we don't get franchise tax, but they do have authorization to put that where they do. So, interesting process though. I'm kind of a construction geek and I was really fascinated how they do that. So.
I just chime in. I had a constituent reach out, very same issue, and spoke with Justin Anderson about that. And I always thought the right of way was between the sidewalk and the road, but it's not necessarily the case. It's so many feet from the center line of the road, and it's not consistent throughout the city. It'll be different amounts based on where you are. So,
yeah.
Sounds like a consistent theme because I got a similar comment. Luckily, I was in a meeting with Glenn at the time I got the text, so he was able to inform me that there was probably an easement in the property, and my neighbor confirmed that. But maybe there's some communication that could be had about what the rights are of the cable company.
You know what
there.
would be really nice? I think from just personal experience, it'd be nice if the company putting in the infrastructure would run some flyers around it. Hey, and next week we're going to be in your neighborhood. We're going to be.
They do.
I never got one of those. Yeah, but that would. It could be a little more informative than, hey, we're putting in fiber. You might want to pay us later. That's the kind of thing that they send. So
the other thing that Justin mentioned, I think for anybody listening in, if your yard is not restored the way, appropriately, the city needs to be aware of that, and they can make sure that the installers come back and rectify that. So
I did have that issue and they were back the next day. So I can't complain that they were inattentive. So that was good. Okay, any more fun?
Just another question, Chair.
Sure.
The name of that fiber optic company that's doing that installation, do we know what it is?
I think the companies
there's multiple
that are,
Yeah,
that is putting the
Oak Street.
infrastructure in actually is doing it for both companies. And that's All West and Connext are the companies that are actually providing the service later on. I don't think there's any more. I think that it's just those two.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I can just one quick thing too. So every Monday we have the league puts on the legislative policy committee meeting. That is a public meeting. Anybody can log into that and pay attention to what's going on. I agree, as far as any kind of lobbying efforts by the city, it'd be great to kind of be informed or aware of on those things. But I know that a lot of things that we track that are important to the city come through that legislative policy, through the Utah League of Cities and Towns, and they really do a great job. They informed today, as of this morning, when they had the meeting, there were 950 current bills filed. Last year, total bills was 959. So we're on track to exceed the number of bills. However, we're roughly the same number of bills passed as we were last year at this time. So they're a lot of bills get in there, and they reviewed quite a few, and so it's just interesting. It's an interesting process. I noticed how some bills are going to will go away, but they'll be passed on to a new bill and created. And so I just think, again, if that's something that you're interested in watching or paying attention to, the league, go to the Utah League of Cities and Towns website, and you'll find the link to their meetings. And then it really is a lot, though. I mean, this last week we had a concern about a bill. The league put out an alert and asked us to reach out, and that bill was held in committee. So there's more work that needs to be done on that. So it was a success story of being engaged and involved. And so anyway,
I wonder if we could, if you all had interest in having that on our calendar, our council calendar, and with a Zoom link.
I'm pretty sure it's there already. I'll double check and make sure that is there, but I'm pretty sure it's there.
Well, it didn't show up on mine. That's why I just asked, but it could be my calendar.
It might just be nice to have the bill tracker, which is a whole separate document.
Yeah.
Which is a summary of if they oppose or support or are watching any particular bills. Those are always very informative to know.
Okay, yeah, just double check. It's not coming up on mine for some reason, so.
Yeah, that and,
I-
and
I
that
saw it on-
House Bill 571
I'll check.
doesn't even have anything on it, so it's new enough that their tracker doesn't show any, no, they haven't even been able to put position pending
Well,
yet.
I
and it gets-
checked
yeah.
earlier and it's still in the rules committee, so it hasn't done anything yet, so. Okay. We'll recess until 6 o'clock, so enjoy your dinner.